And taking a few minutes, back here on KEEL is United States Senator John Kennedy. Hey, Mr. John, welcome back. Thanks for taking time for us.
You bet, guys. Good morning.
You know, just when you think being a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee is, well, it's a pretty big deal, but now with the nomination to the Supreme Court of Bret Kavanaugh, it takes on even more importance. Tell us about what you know about Kavanaugh and how you will be, dare I say, leading the process of confirmation.
I like what I see with Judge Kavanaugh. I don't know him well yet. I sit on Judiciary, and it's our job to examine his qualifications. I intend to do my job. I've said I want the same thing for this Supreme Court position as I wanted for the one filled by Justice Gorsuch. I want to cross between Socrates and Dirty Harry. I want a person who's wise, who's open-minded, not afraid to test his assumptions against the arguments of his critics, but I also want somebody who has some self-awareness and has the courage of his convictions. I have lots of questions for Judge Kavanaugh, both about the law and his philosophy of the law. I'd like to know a little bit more about him personally. I'm looking for a judge. I'm not looking for an activist who's going to try to rewrite the Constitution every other Thursday. I want somebody who'll just follow the law and call the balls and strikes.
Pardon me just a second, Mr. John. Recent history has proven that you can be a little difficult on Trump judicial nominees. May I assume that this go-round will be no different?
Well, I prefer to think, I know some people call it difficult, and that's probably, from one point of view, a fair assessment. I call it doing my job. I mean, I want to know. Let me say it again. I like what I see. I really like what I see. Clearly, Judge Kavanaugh has a brilliant legal mind. But I just want to be sure. This is the one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful, unelected positions. It's for life in the most powerful, important country in the history of human history, America. And I want to get this one right. I think he's a good one. It looks like it, but I got to be sure. That's my job.
Have you met with him? I mean, I know he's been meeting with some senators. Have you been on that list?
I am on the list. He hasn't called yet to come by, but when he does, I'm looking forward to sitting down and talking to him. My understanding is that he's going to go see all 100 senators, with the possible exception of Senator McCain, who, of course, is back home.
What do you ask a man who's sitting with you, who's a nominee to be a Supreme Court justice? Pretend like Robert is him. What do you ask him?
Well, I'm in the process of reading his opinions. Now, he's written 300 opinions and dissents and concurrences. So I don't know. I'm going to try to get through all of them. He's written a number of law review articles, and I'll ask him some questions about what his philosophy of law is. I mean, how does he go if he has a case? How would he go about deciding it? How does he interpret the Constitution?
Do you ask him what is your opinion of abortion? I mean, do you go to specific issues?
No, under the canons of judicial ethics, Erin, a judge or prospective judge violates the ethics rules if he says or she says how they're going to vote in a particular case. And it's very inappropriate to say, what's your feeling about abortion? How are you going to vote on the next abortion decision? Besides that, it shows a gross misunderstanding of the way the Supreme Court works. The Supreme Court does not vote on abstract issues. A case comes in front of it, and it decides the case on the basis of the law and the facts. Now, that doesn't mean that sometimes judges don't make policy in their interpretation of the law, but they're supposed to interpret the law, not just go out like a free-range chicken and start rewriting the Constitution. I'm pretty fond of the Constitution. I think it's just fine the way it is.
Mr. John, to this point, have you spoken? Maybe give us a little look behind the curtain. Have you spoken to other Judiciary Committee members, not only the Republicans, and what have you talked about with them, maybe the guys on the committee, the women who know him, but have any Democrats approached you and spoken to you about this nomination, and what have they said?
Yes. The Democrats are going to oppose Judge Kavanaugh. Doesn't matter what he says. Doesn't matter what they discover in the confirmation process. Now, some are more open-minded than others, but there have been a number of Democrats that before they've even met the guy or read a single one of his opinions just said, we're going to oppose him because he was nominated by President Trump. I disagree with that approach, but they're entitled to do it. Now, there are other Democrats that I think will give him a handful that I think will give him a chance, depending upon how he does in confirmation. There's some of my Republican colleagues that just said, look, out of the box, out of the gate, I'm going to support the guy. But my job on Judiciary, I'm going to say it again, I really like what I see, but my job is to just be sure. And I'm going to do my job.
When do those hearings begin? I love watching you on C-SPAN.
Oh, thanks. If all you do is watch C-SPAN, Erin, you need to get a life.
I know.
Okay?
I have no life. I
don't have much of a life either.
when are the hearings beginning?
They're going to start. My guess is they'll start the third week of August, maybe sooner, but probably not, because throughout his career, Judge Kavanaugh, who worked at the White House, he's worked in the Justice Department. He's probably been touched, 10 million documents, and I'm sure the Democrats are going to demand copies of all of them, even if he didn't write them, if he just read them, and that's going to take a while.
Are you going to look into that, because there are some comments saying he misled the Judiciary Committee with regard to documents on his involvement with the Bush administration? That's coming from the Republican naysayers, correct? Democratic naysayers.
You're going to hear there are going to be all kind of allegations made. Petty, they'll talk about his, everything. Just looking, I think any reasonable person would have to conclude, and I don't know Kavanaugh, but just what I see, the guy has a brilliant legal mind. Okay, it's not like he doesn't know what a semicolon is, and so they're going to have to, if they want to attack him for political reasons, they're going to have to get kind of petty. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not something in one of his opinions that I'm going to have questions about. I'm sure there will be. But I don't think you ought to be petty, no matter who nominates the person.
Mitch McConnell says it's all going to be wrapped up. Vote on the Senate floor before the midterm elections in November. You buying that? Is that legit?
That'll happen. Yeah, we're going to have a vote. That's what we were sent up here to do.